for a talk on this topic of the future of generations and how we get to work here. So there's been a lot of conversation happening since yesterday, and one of the topics I'm picking up is about the generations of future. This panel was a proof also to how the temperature of our blood may be increasing or decreasing, just imagining how the future workforce is going to come and start working with us. How do we start collaborating with them? So I'm here today to, of course, share a couple more examples about Sandoz and the organizations I worked with in the past, but also talk from a personal perspective about my storyline and my contribution to this society and the future generations and how I can influence that. So the first example I wanted to call out today is about the autonomy of flexibility that we discussed in the panel. So Sandoz as an organization, as I mentioned to you, has changed the way we look at our policies, frameworks, and concepts. So while HR is at the forefront of defining them, of signing them off, we believe that the associates are the ones who own those policies. So we look at empowering them to understand and using them responsibly, whether it comes from hybrid working models to using the benefits or going to conferences like these and protecting the data privacy and rights. So what do associates stand for? What is their personal goal matters a lot to the organization. And that's how I got to explore one of my own passions, working with Sandoz. So I'm a researcher with the Swiss School of Business Management, and I am now busy turning in my thesis. This conference came in very timely with what I observed through the advent of my research, and I thought it's a great opportunity to present some of those statistics to you. Before that, it's important for you to understand why I picked up this research topic, which is called the New 18. So some of you might have heard about medical transcription, and way back in 2001, I was the youngest person in India to be certified by American Association of Medical Transcription to pursue this with a lot of doctors in the United States. It's not a very fancy profession. Back then, I really didn't care whether it was fancy or not, whether it was a big brand I was associated with, and the certification just came by the way. But what I did observe is in this workspace, I had a team of doctors working with me. I had a team of postgraduates, doctorates, people who were definitely a lot more educated than a 15-year-old who had just about completed the secondary education, or 10th class as we call it in India, and was solving the problems of what the doctors in the United States needed. A lot of times, I was able to solve problems that they collectively could not solve. Now, this story was not about me. The story was about this 15-year-old who, without having that sort of a formal education, worked along with a team of people who went through that grind and was yet able to sometimes contribute along with them or even above and beyond them. So that quite intrigued me. Now, what's important for you also to understand here is this story, along with that 15-year-old, was also of the father of the 15-year-old who let that person go, who had the courage to experiment a different career where this 15-year-old's friends, people who were peers, were going into the colleges, the top colleges of India, were in youth fests, were doing the thing that a 15-year-old needs to do, were partying hard, and his daughter was in a very different stream of life. The story was also about this person who at that time did not care about the child labor law of India and just asked out, would you care working with me? I'll give you an offer and I'll start with this salary. Would you want to start working with me? And nothing mattered. I went in and I started working. So I never attended college in life, so I'm not like any one of you who understands what that concept looks like. But yeah, I'm turning in a doctorate today. Now, what I wonder and what this research really envisaged on is the questions of the age of majority, which is 18 for 56 countries of the world. Does that draw a linkage to age of mainstream jobs for future generations? Will they wait until 18? And if you tend to believe they will wait until 18, are you catching talent fresh and young? Or are you catching talent which has been bottled up, is tired, and is just now waiting to earn a paycheck? Is no longer relevant about their passions, and then you need to start initiatives like what we saw in the earlier panel, because it's a lost passion. So what I saw in this research, when we invited about 500 respondents to talk about how would they like to work in future, this was a group of teenagers, and I defined them as the aspirants in my study. And these were people who were under 18, so I picked up the category of 13 to 18, because that is the starting window of the adolescence. And then I also looked at people who were above 18 but were undergrads, who hadn't completed their graduation. So what I observed is 33% of the respondents said that they are ready to start working before 18. They are eager to start working before the age of 18. 70% of them collectively were interested in either working full-time or just getting into a job part-time, but they were not ready to wait until something got completed and then start this process of job applications. They were ready to contribute today. I asked them, what holds you back? If 70% of you want to start working today, what is it that's holding you back? 38.4% respondents mentioned societal pressure. This is the pressure coming from their parents, peer groups, who they see as their sponsors in their life, seeing what would you do if you don't study? What would you do if you don't complete this run? That was the biggest response category. 75% of the responders collectively also mentioned fear of rejection, fear of uncertainty. So only 25% of my survey group said that I don't feel confident enough to start working. The other 75% of respondents are looking at, is the society ready to accept me this way? I am ready, but what about these two other people that you saw in the story, the parents and the sponsors of the industry, the labor courts, the educationalists, the HR heads? Are they willing to bet on me? So that is where 75% of the questions lie today. Now, we also I asked them a question, what motivates you about this? You're saying 70% of you want to start, because I'm sure sitting back here, many of you are assuming right now, yeah, it's money. You know, who wouldn't want to make money earlier? Let me tell you that 133 respondents said it is financial independence, and you're right, that was the top response. But a very close 127 were following up with career growth at a younger age. They wanted to get into a mainstream career or an entrepreneurial business model or an idea they had under the age of 18, but the laws today do not support that. And another 105 said it's the skills or capabilities they are eager to contribute to a cause. So what I concluded with this, with my story and the research that I had done, is that we are sitting on the cusp of a golden era, a golden period, where we're not even realizing bottling this up for future is going to take away an immense potential from a nation, from a generation, from a revolution for future. You look at the ideas that some of our Gen Zs and Gen Alphas have. They are very different. But how long will we stop the problem? We have to manage it someday. The question is, do we want to manage it, or do we want to manage ourselves, to give them an open door to start early? Many of us in this room have influential roles in companies. I've seen presentations since yesterday where we're extensively discussing the concept of skill-based employment, capability-based recruitment. If it is skill-based, if it is capability-based, you look at companies or causes like 110, you look at Nirman, you look at what Tata has done with skill-based volunteering. It does not take for a few companies to experiment it. It takes a revolution by some of us putting our hand up and saying, I will run that assessment with somebody who's in a college right now, put them up with somebody who's 10 years experienced, and if they are ready, I'm willing to have a conversation with that college to see if I can get talent to start younger with me. So some of us will need to make a bold start to make that revolution happen. And if you can do that, that's the business case for future. Thank you.